30 countries on 6 continents. Perhaps you are wondering why Craig has gathered you all here today. You might know that you're also here for maybe other people, but maybe Craig thinks it's all for him. Craig is here today to sell you on an idea for a once-in-a-lifetime experience. First, Craig will role play with a potential taker on this idea. Second, he will give a short speech on the cold call technique for an expensive item. And third, Craig will have a short discussion with the role player and audience on the technique. Please help me welcome Craig Bulldog. Yes. Why did I say that? Because yeah, I took your name, didn't I? Well, I
Craig, before you start, because the timers doesn't work with what's your time frame, so at 12 I'll give you green, 13 I'll give you yellow.
10 of green.
Just hit 10 of green.
So we have a setting for 10.
Yellow, and 14 red flag.
Because I was going to do 12 green, 13 yellow,
I need
and 14
10,
red.
I need 10 green, that's the minimum.
I think we have a setting for 10.
Pick 10 green.
And it's okay if you just use the card, that can go with those.
You may begin.
Could you join me, Karen? Good morning, Karen.
Good morning, Craig. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Excellent. Thank you.
So, where do you work, Karen?
I'm a realtor. I'm self-employed with Century 21 Kerbo Realty.
And how is the environment around where you work? I mean, is it a little hectic, stressful? How would you describe the environment?
Pretty friendly. Everybody gets along really well. We have a small, tight-knit office. We just had a meeting yesterday, and they were asking what we could do to improve the office atmosphere, and there were very few suggestions. So it's an excellent organization.
Do you ever feel a need to really decompress?
No,
Kind of
never.
get away? Play along with it.
Yeah, every day, all day, yes. Of course.
So sometimes there are times you'd like to just get away.
Absolutely.
And if money and time were no objectives, what would you do to go and decompress?
You're stealing my tabletop.
And use your imagination here, Karen. Think about that.
No money?
No
No
money.
money's no object.
No money. And time is not an object.
Well, my next bucket list, international travel, is Australia. And I'd like to be in Sydney for New Year's Eve on a boat and to watch the fireworks display. Spend 2 weeks in Australia and then maybe a week in New Zealand. And I'd love to talk to you and Kay about your trip.
That's great. Can I show you a couple photos?
Yes.
So this is a very, very peaceful place. You can see the waterfall. It's very lush. There's a lot of rain that happens in this place. It would be a great way to decompress.
It looks like one.
Oh, wow.
And look at the scenery. You could just sit and look at this all day long.
Yes, you could.
How does that make you feel, Karen?
Oh, my gosh.
Makes me feel nice and relaxed.
Just a little bit different than you feel at work?
Just a little.
I know you have a great environment at work, but this is so beautiful. And there's also, it's lush, it's tropical. You can have fresh fruit every day. You can go pick oranges, grapefruits, lemons.
You like California?
Modes of travel. I mean, you don't have to stress out about a big bag. You can take a small bag. You can travel by plane, bus, boat, car. You can even hitchhike in this once-in-a-lifetime experience place. If you take a family with you, there's even a bicycle where you can sit 7 people on this thing. It's pretty heavy, though. I don't think you'd be going very fast. You could do it as a destination location to do something. You could run a race. Maybe it's to walk a 5K. That's another way to completely decompress.
Absolutely.
You could go skiing if you like.
Oh.
And of course, there are some animals. There's sheep in this once-in-a-lifetime experience location. But I would just caution, you may want to pick the time of the year that you go because it could be windy, as you can see from some of this vegetation. And if you go at the right time of the year, if you go in the spring, you can just walk through a whole field of flowers. And the most important thing is you can just sit down, smell the roses, watch the butterflies. Once in a lifetime experience, New Zealand. So how does this appeal to you, Karen?
When can I go? Do I have to wait a year from now?
This is a once in a lifetime. Do you have any concerns about making a trip like this?
Planning. My husband and I, neither one of us are very good planners. We like to kind of wing it, and I know it's not a very, as Jim said, that's not a very good way to plan an excursion. So that would be my challenge.
Well, it just so happens that my wife and I have been there recently, so we could help you with the travel plan.
That would be fabulous.
Are there any other concerns or objections to, this once in a lifetime experience?
No, it'd just be a matter of budgeting and get your mind around the long travel time and just talking to people that have been there before and hear about their wonderful experiences.
And of course, you don't have to go next week or next month. You can, like you say, you could plan for next year or 5 years or 10 years so that you could appropriately budget for it and also block out the time that you wanted to spend there.
Indeed.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you very much, Karen. I'm going to tell you about the persuasive selling process. First of all, this project is for a very expensive item. So the potential buyers can be nervous, they can be a little bit cautious and hesitant. You don't want to approach somebody and say, hey, how would you like to save $10,000 a year? Because if you're like most people, that would turn you off. You want to be honest. You want to build up a rapport with your customer. So the last thing you want to do is kind of hide the truth or not confess fully what's going on. And you don't want to argue with the customer about a potential feature of the product. If they have a product and they say, well, my product does better with this feature, you want to just say, yeah, I understand that. You don't want to say, well, no, maybe your product's not that good. So you want to be honest. And you want to act as a resource. You want to be helping to solve a problem for this customer. You're not going to be selling, you're going to be solving a problem. And as you saw in the demonstration with Karen, I didn't actually talk about what product I was offering, which happened to be an idea. Karen came up with the idea herself that maybe she would like to get away and do something. So you want to be careful with your questions. I kind of led Karen along and she came up with the conclusion that, yeah, I'd like to get away. And fortunately for me, she picked a location that was already near and dear to the idea of a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And then you want to address any objections that the buyer might have. So you saw me question Karen at the end, objections. She had a few objections about, or concerns about travel planning. And that's something that my wife and I would be happy to help Karen with. So that's the process with conquering a cold call for an expensive item. Now I'd like to open it up for questions and answers, and I'll ask a couple questions and see what kind of responses I get from the audience and from Karen. First of all, how well did I sell you on the idea of a once-in-a-lifetime experience to New Zealand?
Pretty well.
Raise your hand. All right. What could I have done differently?
Why was it a once-in-a-lifetime experience?
Pardon me?
Why is it a once-in-a-lifetime experience?
Well, for most people, it is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I mean, it doesn't have to be a once-in-a-lifetime. You could go and live there, obviously. And we did meet some people that do live in New Zealand. So, for most people, they haven't been there, and maybe what you're suggesting is that I could have asked Karen if she's ever been to New Zealand. But fortunately, she said that she wanted to go there anyway, so.
Would you go to the North Island or South Island if you only had a week?
Yes.
So I'm going with South Island.
Okay.
Yes, Charlotte?
One thing I think you could do to improve it, get rid of that silly map and put that picture back up.
Jocelyn?
I would have been interested to hear where each of your pictures were taken at. Like this, the name of the city or the location, or if it was a park or whatever.
Yes. So if I would have put something down here, you know, Wellington.
Or even just said it, you don't
South
have to
Island.
ruin your picture with text.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be a good way to help introduce what I'm talking about.
I would have shared personal stories.
That's what I was just gonna say.
And to tag along with Mary T,
Yep,
the pictures are great, but I'd love to have heard, hey, we met this couple, you know, the experience
exactly.
of it also.
Yep,
We are a couple, but that's,
yeah.
that's a good input. How about the rest of you? Do you ever feel pressured or stressed? Do you ever feel like you need to decompress?
No, never.
Oh, yeah.
You're not gonna sell me on that one, Jackie, because you have to be honest, first of all.
I know that's not true, I'm sitting there.
So just a couple other questions. Was I honest in my
Totally.
cold call?
Yes.
How many think I was honest? Was I a useful resource for Karen during the conversation?
Yes.
Was I careful with the questions that I asked her? How well did I address Karen's concerns about the once-in-a-lifetime experience? Madam Toastmaster?